Hey, how you doing there? Henry Olsen here from Super Simple Guitar, and today it's time for another episode of True Stories. So in today's True Story, I'm going to be telling you the story of how I created this book and how I went from literally having it be the biggest failure of my life. I was literally crying on the floor after working on it for months. How I went from there to having it now, a few years later, be one of the biggest success stories of my professional life. So I hope that this True Stories episode inspires you to keep going no matter what happens, and that my failure and crying on the floor can also maybe help you get through whatever stage you might be at right now. So before we get into the true story, check out this box. This used to be filled with books, these little books. It's empty. I literally have more people joining the membership than I have books. I just ordered another 2 full boxes so that I can keep up. So thank you for joining, everybody. Excuse my hair. I'm gonna go get a haircut today, but I've just been going deep on signing books and getting them shipped out. So thank you for joining, all of you new Super Simple Guitar members. And those of you who want to join still, there's a lot more of these books still coming. I just ordered 100 of them. See you later. Thank you. All right, so now let's go back and set the scene. So let's go back to 2014, September, October 2014. So I had just got back from playing a Oktoberfest gig in Jordan. We actually flew to Jordan and played in Oktoberfest, and I was there for a whole week. And at this point, the wedding gig, I had been doing that for about 3 years, and it was kind of slowly starting to reach its end. I could feel that it was reaching its end. And at the same time, I also was teaching about 20 to 25 students at home. So I actually had a room inside of our apartment where people would come in to our apartment and I'd teach them the guitar there. I didn't have the cool studio back then, okay? 2014, remember? So, and I had a baby. Matthias, my younger son, was 6 months at the time. So, you know, teaching, newborn, feeling that the wedding gig is coming to an end, I thought, well, a cool thing to do would be to write a book, right? That's easy. And I knew from teaching one-on-one how the way that I write out chords, how easy it was for my students to learn them. So I thought, all right, there's nothing easier than making a book, right? So let me just make a book. Well, I was really, really wrong. It was extremely hard, okay? So I started the project October 25th, 2014. I wrote it down. And at this time, I didn't have a clue about what I was doing. I didn't know how to use a camera. You'd think that using a camera is easy, right? It's not. You have to do the shutter speed. You have to know about aperture. You have to know about ISO. You have to have lighting. You have to know how to balance the lighting. There's so much that goes into photography. I was clueless. So that was one thing. Really, really difficult. You know, now I could probably do a better job, but it turned out pretty good, you know, with my limited knowledge. So there were all these challenges and all these things, and I was clueless about what I was doing, basically, right? So, and I had a baby at home, right? Which made it even more hard. So anyways, I got to work. I had this great idea for the book, which I still think today it really is a great idea, and I get a lot of really great feedback about it. So I got to work, you know, and I worked really, really hard. And the project, it actually is the 4-year anniversary coming up in about a week. I finished it on January 31st. So it was a 3-month project, this thing. And I'm not talking about a little work. Like, I was working on this thing constantly. You know, just with the concept and with the images. And I actually hired somebody in Pakistan to do the layout, you know, to do the nice logo in the background here. And the communication with the person in Pakistan was terrible. I'd get pictures back where half of the fretboard was missing. So to make a long story, a 3-month story short, it was much, much, much harder than I thought it would be, right? Plus I had all of these other things going on the side. It was just a very, very stressful process. But I was sure that once I finished this book, because it was helping my one-on-one students so much, the way that I was presenting chords to them, I was sure that everybody would want it, right? The whole internet, once I put it on the internet, the whole internet would go crazy and everybody would want one, right? So my plan was to sell it as a ebook for 10 bucks, right? Simple enough. It's a great book, ebook, 10 bucks. Can't be that hard, right? So anyway, I work on the book for 3 months, really constantly. It's very difficult. Stress with the baby. My wife was wondering what I'm doing, locking myself in the room. You know, it was just a really stressful time. Shout out to my wife for being patient with me because, of course, for her, I'm just this crazy guy who thinks he can write a book, right? People think you're crazy if you say you're going to write a book or if you say you're going to do anything that's a little bit out of the norm. So anyway, I finally published the book January 31st, 2015. I put it up. I announced my link. The book is done. Everybody, come get one. It's only 10 bucks, right? What do you think happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. Something happened. A couple of my students were nice enough. They probably felt bad for me. They got the ebook for 10 bucks. Stefan, I remember you got it. Another person who got it was, what's his name? I'll remember later. Thank you so much. It was 4 years ago. I can't remember the name now. But those of you who got it at the beginning there, I really appreciate it. But at the same time, it was very depressing for me, right? Because I had worked really hard. I was sure that this thing was going to work. And I actually paid 400 bucks to have this graphic designer do it for me. So I actually had spent money to make this thing too, not just time, but money, and nobody wanted it, except for like 2 or 3 people who felt bad for me, right? So man, just thinking about that. And then after that, I kind of started to hate the book because I remember launching it and thinking that it's really gonna work, and nobody wanted it. I basically couldn't even give it away, right? That's how much nobody really wanted it. So I remember I got really sick. Like a couple days later, the kind of reality of all this time spent and energy kicked in, and I got really sick. Like I remember I had fever. My body just kind of broke down, I guess, because of everything. You know, it was very emotionally challenging, you know, to work on something so hard and have it just totally fail, right? So anyways, I remember I was sick, and for some reason I was laying on the floor. I remember laying on the floor just crying. Seriously, I was laying on the floor crying. I don't know why I was on the floor, but I was on the floor. I remember it very clearly, just crying, depressed. And then I thought maybe I could reach out to some other YouTubers and they would maybe help me push it. So I emailed a couple of people while I was sick, thinking maybe that's how I could get it out. They all said no. Every single one of them said no, right? So just rejection, rejection, rejection. Then I lowered the price down to $1 on my website, which was also new. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any courses yet. This is the first thing that I ever did before a single course came out, you know, and nobody would buy it for $1. Nobody, right? It was just... So anyway, finally, I got the idea to start making courses, right? So I finally started making courses. The first course I ever made was launched in May 2015. So, you know, what are you gonna do? You're laying on the floor crying, depressed. You know, that probably lasted a month. And then I kind of started to get myself back in, you know, some sort of mindset to keep pushing forward, right? So May 2015, I launched my first course, a blues course, and I had the idea, since nobody was buying the book, I had the idea to have it as a free bonus, right, inside of the course, so that if you buy the course, a nice little bonus would be that you get the PDF for free, right? And that's what I've been doing ever since, okay? So I took this failure, you know, it really felt like a failure then, and I figured out a way to somehow weave it in to the next thing, okay? And this is the lesson in this, you know? Often your biggest failures when you're lying on the floor crying, if you just keep going, it's 4 years later now, 4 years. And I'm finally shipping these things around the world 4 years later. So if you just keep going and keep believing in yourself and remember the reason why you did it, right? This is a passion project, you know? I love to teach guitar. I love to make things simple. So my message to you is take that thing that you do and never give up. It might take you 4 years, but just find a way to keep pushing forward. So anyway, I started putting them into my online courses as a free bonus, and hopefully I think that definitely helped me you know, sell those courses. It got people interested in the course enough to actually buy the course, you know. So that's what I still do today, except today the really cool thing and what I'm most proud of is that when people join my All Access membership, which now 4 years later I have built up, consistently building, I ship these things to you guys who are my members as a free welcome gift, okay? So I don't actually sell these, I give them to people who join my program, you know, and I'm very, very thankful to everybody who joins my program. And it's just such a delight for me. Every time I'm signing one of these things, it's like a spiritual experience almost. Like I really feel a lot of gratitude every time I send one of these things out, you know? So those of you who are now All Access members, you have one of these things, you know the story behind it, you know how much work and effort and, you know, pain went into making these things. So that's kind of my basic story. Later on, like a couple months ago, I got the idea to take a couple of the first pages of the book and turn it into a poster. So now I don't just have a book, I have a poster, you know. But the journey of publishing this book and actually shipping it around the world, I have now literally sent this thing to Australia, Canada, England, Ireland, America, Israel. I sent one to Israel. I've sent these things all over the world now, you know? But it's because I created something with passion that I love, and I didn't give up. I just didn't give up, and I kept trying to find a way, you know? So, you know, these true stories, I'm also making them thinking that maybe one day my children will watch this, right? Because with everything digital, this video is going to be around forever, basically, right? On computers. So, you know, true story, this is for my kids watching one day. I want you guys to know what I went through, and I also want this to be inspiration for any of you who are striving to do something that is a little bit out of the ordinary, okay? And let my journey somehow motivate or push you forward. I also have to say that I have an excellent and amazing friend and mentor, Adam Rafferty, the fingerstyle guitar player, and he has helped me incredibly, you know. And I'm gonna do a true story talking about only him, but I also want to mention Adam Rafferty in this video because he has helped me so much on my journey as well, okay? So shout out to Adam. If my kids are watching this one day when I'm a grandpa or whatever, then shout out to my kids. Shout out to everybody watching. I hope that this somehow has inspired you. And just keep pushing forward. No matter what happens, even if you're crying on the floor, keep coming back, you know? Keep coming back, keep showing up. And if your intention is honest and you have a real desire to help people, then sooner or later, your time will come. Okay? All right, Henry Olsen here, True Stories. thanks for watching. I hope this has inspired you. I'll see you with more guitar lessons very soon. All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.